Hello and welcome to the Spirit Spa, an online sanctuary devoted to supporting you if you're in the early stages of recovery from breakdown or depression. My name is Karen Packwood, the Love Millionaire. I'm a best-selling author and a spiritual guide. And in this message from the wilderness today, I'm going to be focusing on the topic of returning to work. After you've been through a period of depression or breakdown, and you've often had a time where you haven't been at work, going back to work can often be one of the most terrifying experiences of it all, actually. How do you know that you're actually well enough to actually return to work? So I'm going to be focusing on 4 points in this particular video, and I have 4 friends of the forest to help me, 4 little fir cones. This one's been a bit eaten by the squirrels quite a lot actually, but nevertheless we're going to use it. 4 fir cone points to help you think about how to actually return to work in a way that's going to help you feel safe and protected, because obviously it's quite a vulnerable time. So the first question you have to ask yourself is this: are you actually ready? Fir cone point number 1. Are you actually ready to return to work? I think that's an incredibly hard question. I know from my own experience, I went back to work thinking that I was well enough to go back, only to discover quite shortly after that I actually wasn't, and I had to actually take some more time off. And I don't think that that is particularly uncommon. So do be prepared for that. Do be prepared for the fact that maybe you might go back to work and you might find that you actually have to take a little bit more time off. But obviously know that you're not to beat yourself up if that's the case, but to actually congratulate yourself for having the courage to have actually tried to go back to work. Now the second point, I think I've got a better one here. The second fir cone point that I would like to make is to make sure that you have prepared everybody that's going to be involved in your transition back into the workplace very carefully. So make sure your employers are very aware of what it is that you need. And of course, you're going to have to think about that in advance too. What do you need to be able to go back into the workplace safely and securely? Make sure your employer knows that. Make sure your colleagues know that. Make sure your family knows it. And of course, most importantly, make sure that you know it. Now the third point is this: when you go back to work, it might be that you discover that the work that you're going back into no longer serves you. There is absolutely no doubt that going into depression or nervous breakdown is a life-changing experience. It's partly designed for that, because the reason it came into your life is to actually inform you that certain things needed to be shifted and changed. So please, be very open to the possibility that when you return to work, the person that you are now is not the same person as the person you were before you actually had the breakdown. And it might be that even though you go back into the workplace, you might find yourself feeling that there's something more out there for you. There's a different kind of employment, a different kind of job opportunity that's kind of nagging away at you within your soul. And I know for myself that that was definitely something that happened, was that I went back thinking that that was what I had to do. I was a teacher and I went back into teaching, and I really believed that I had to go back because I was a single parent of a little toddler. Obviously I needed the income. I had no financial support from anywhere else, so obviously I needed the income, but it was extremely apparent that particular profession was no longer the right profession for me. So I actually had to find a way of starting my working life all over again, and I have to say I don't regret it at all, because what I'm doing now, I'm much happier than what I was doing before. And it doesn't mean I loved being with the children. I loved being with children in school, but there were so many other things that did not suit me about the particular job. And now I get to really choose how I work. And I think that's something to be very careful of, to think about as well, which is the stress that your job involves. You know, once we've experienced something like a depression or breakdown, we kind of retain a sensitivity, a fragility. That's not a negative thing. It's I believe that actually it's quite a positive thing, because it means that we actually really check very carefully about how we're living and whether we're living in accordance with our own highest being and our own highest well-being. So please be aware of that. And then the other thing is this, the final point, my final third point, is about being aware of relapses. When you have been off work, obviously most of the time you've been in the safety of your own home environment. But then of course when you go back into the workplace, there are all sorts of dynamics and situations and so on that you can't control, that you're not in control of, and you don't know whether or not they're going to trigger old feelings that you maybe had before you actually had the breakdown or depression, or they might trigger anxiety or terror or panic or so on, that you actually experienced while you were in the midst of the depression or the breakdown. And even old feelings of perhaps low self-esteem and so on can come up as well. So there's no doubt that going back into the workplace can trigger old feelings. So be very prepared for that, be very aware of that, so that if that does happen, you're prepared for it, and you've already thought about how you're going to look after yourself in that particular circumstance. So there are 4 points for you to think about. There are others, and I will create videos relating to the others as well. But in terms of actually returning to work, I would say that there are 4 key points for you to think about before you actually return to the workplace. And if you are in the position of about to return to the workplace, I would like to wish you lots of luck. Do be very gentle with yourself, do be very kind to yourself, make sure you allow yourself plenty of time to rest, make sure that you are going to nourish yourself with proper food and drink during the day, make sure that you are not allowing yourself to go back into a situation that is going to be too overwhelming or too stressful for you, because obviously we really don't want you to have any relapses and go back, sort of spiral back downwards. So I'm going to wish you lots of luck. My name is Karen Packwood, the Love Millionaire. If you would like to leave any comments, please do so below. Please like and subscribe my book. Subscribe to my channel, not my book. That's coming, but that's not what I'm talking about today. Please subscribe to my channel. If you would like to contact me, please email me at karenpackwood@gmail.com. And if you would like to schedule a wise wisdom wilderness call with me, that's a call where you can have a free 60 minutes to actually just discuss your situation with me, and we can just check how you're feeling. If there's one particular issue you would like to focus on, and we can help find a way forward for you, then you're more than welcome to do that. So I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, and I wish you all the very best.